Hello, thank you for joining us at Rolling Speed. This is Todd, aka Negative Camber, and you've asked for video. We're going to give you a video. What is Rolling Speed? Rolling Speed is really talking about F1. We're going to talk about F1 on F1 terms from a fan's perspective. We're going to have all kinds of things like video series. We're going to have Paul Charsley driving crazy cars, and we're going to have us talking heads talking about F1, sharing our comments with you, the F1 fan. So, the first topic we're going to talk about, it's not Bernie, although I might recommend this book. I'm reading it now and I'm not very far into it. There's already some juicy stuff in there. So, what are we going to talk about in the first episode? We're going to talk about car launches, because ultimately car launches happen at the end of the winter season. We get all giddy, he gets all giddy, it gets darned excited. So, the first topic for this episode is the car launch.
Hello everybody, and welcome to our first episode of Rolling Speed.
You see, the industrial media, or traditional media, is embracing this new austerity program of online car launches. Well, they're embracing it about like, I don't know, maybe Ernest Borgnine embracing Shelley Winters in the Poseidon Adventure. I mean, sure, when everything's gone tits up and the boat's upside down, that seems to make a lot of sense. But outside...
boy, what about those noses? Actually, noses... I can't even call them noses, I like to call them beaks actually, because kind of reminded me of that witch on HR Puff and Stuff, Witchy Poo, little hook nose. They are so unattractive, I can't even believe that they put those cars out there, but the rules are the rules, and as we've learned, aerodynamics is essential in Formula One, and that's what those teams are doing, so you can't put it against them, although can we? You know, I mean, these guys, the FIA, the Formula One teams, everyone kind of should be working together to make these cars correct.
You know, honestly, I don't think you'd like the step nose.
Formula One cars are supposed to be sexy. Now, not so much. It's kind of like the ugly sister, you know? You kind of look at it, kind of looks similar, but there's just something quite not right, is there?
In fact, Caterham took the cake this year by offering their car launch in the pages of a magazine. I don't know. I can't say that I was as excited to see that spread as I was maybe when I was a teenager waiting for Miss July. But nevertheless, even when the car came out, it was the first one. And unfortunately, they're in the position of having this stepped nose, which looks more like a Lego car than anything else. And maybe this is a grand conspiracy by the Lego creators. But, ooh, Audi, nice. I don't know, the Ferrari, it just looks like a Lego.
Yeah, hopefully they can figure this out before next year, but as I say, kind of how these guys work or don't work together. We've talked about the aerodynamics. Obviously the reason for this nose and the way that step is right after the front axle is all about the aerodynamics or the design of the car, trying to fit into their idea, but unfortunately some other rules they implement this year kind of negate that, and look what we have. Unfortunately for us, they're probably not going to be able to change anything this year, so hopefully they can figure these rules out where they can make the teams have to kind of follow a pattern where they actually make F1 cars sexy again.
You see, the big challenge with this online car launch thing is really traffic. When you and I show up, it's no big deal, but when 2 million of our friends show up too, it creates a real bottleneck, a logjam, if you will, of broadband. And the team that hires a hosting company to handle those spikes is a team that would be better off. Now, you don't have to pay for a huge pipe all year long, but you manage those spikes, and that's how that generally works. I'm sure the teams are doing that, but it's still not good. Even today's Lotus event, couldn't log on to watch the video. Brings up two things. They need a good launch event coordinator to manage this technically. The second thing that they need is to really think about their pipe, their bandwidth, and what they're doing here. I mean, in my world, that's called a FLOB, an effing lot of bandwidth, right? So that's what they need for these car launches. If they're going to do online car launches, which I'm all for, then you got to be able to manage it. Because me and 2 million of my friends, we're waiting. Did Lotus not think that we're all going to come to the website?
So we talk about these Formula One cars. As said, they're kind of not very attractive, but you know, it's not first time in Formula One that we've seen unattractive Formula One cars. I was looking back at some pictures of the early 80s, and some of these cars actually, at least the noses, bear some kind of resemblance to the cars of right now. But they learned from that. I mean, God, you know, in the late 80s, those Formula One cars were sexy. And obviously aerodynamics have been such a big part of the cars, but they've got to be a way of eliminating so many aerodynamic features and unveil the beautiness which is a Formula One racing car. One time last year we had there was a fleet of Formula One cars here from '89 all the way through to the late 2000s, and there was a dramatic difference in all the aerodynamic appliances stuck on these cars. That beautiful '89 Ferrari was classic, just one plane on the front, one plane on the rear, Coke bottle shape, beautiful. Then they just added and added and added, and wind tunnels and geometric equations to try and figure out how to get these cars go faster through the air but give them more downforce. I know everyone's kind of bemoaned the fact that I said let's have a spec rear wing, and everyone's, oh no, we can't have spec, it's going to be like IRL cars. But when I mean spec, I mean make a ruling so you can really affect the downforce on these cars. Make that a one plane rear wing, give it a very small dimension, so that these cars can then have to balance each other front to back. And then therefore that eliminates all of those other appendages that have kind of become a little more unsightly, and obviously sticks out like a sore nose right now with those new F1 noses that we're going to have to deal with through the whole year. Some of these paint jobs are going to have to be very creative to try and hide the aesthetics of that front end of the Formula One car.
Things have changed. It used to be that journalists were flown to far-flung locations, exotic locations. They would have great food and big events with lots of glamour, and the teams would release their car. These journalists would then record that event, do interviews, write words, and that kind of content would eventually filter out into magazines, newspapers that you and I would pick up and read. There's nothing wrong with that model, except it's the industrial media model, which is old and outdated. The bottom line is that the media, yeah, they show up, they go, they do the same thing they've always done, except you and I, yeah, we're doing that at home now. Car launches are fun. It means the new season's coming. We get to see the new cars. You get really excited. Who's interpreted the regulations as what? So far, it seems like the step nose outweigh the McLaren beauty factor of the swooping nose. But we'll see what happens with Red Bull and Mercedes. I'm very intrigued by that. Although it is muted, I still get awful giddy when the cars come out. It means we're just weeks away. So, without belaboring the point of the car launches, yes, they're austere, yes, they're muted, yes, they don't have all the pomp and circumstance they used to, and you know what? I think in a lot of ways that's awesome, because they're online, they're accessible by us, the fans, and that's what's important, is having fan access, having that transparency, being able to see the cars, see the launch, and really get access to the team and the personnel in the team that we don't often get to see on the pit wall. And I think from a fan perspective, that's good. But what do I know? I'm just a fan.
You can kind of hear some cars going around, because this is my home from home. This is Infineon Raceway, and this is where I'm here every day. Today we've got some good-looking Ferraris out there doing some testing. Unfortunately for us, the new Ferrari's not such a good-looking car, is it now?
The last time I checked, F1 is consumed by F1 fans, you and me. So the idea is that we can attend the event, we can engage in the Q&A, well, not yet, but we should be. We could actually watch the Q&A and professional reporters ask questions. The team that actually gets it down, gets it pat, to where the people like us attending the event online can actually engage the event online, now that's a team that'll do it right. So there you have it. Just a few comments from Paul and I, interlaced together, talking about the car launch. Certainly the safety regulations this year have beget this step nose. The regulations the FIA have for the car really do define what the car looks like in Formula One. There's not a lot you can do about that, although I will say McLaren took a very elegant solution to their nose. Also, if you're like Grace in podcast 249, you miss those old days of pomp and circumstance. I understand that too. The knock-on effect of that is that you actually get real-time access as a fan. We get to watch the car unveiled. The team that allows us to interact with that unveiling is really the team that'll get it right. So in all, car launches are exciting. We get excited about it. It signals really the beginning of the Formula One season. Nobody could be more excited about that than I am, or maybe more than he is. So stay tuned to Rolling Speed for episode number 2. We're going to be talking about degressive braking. What is that? You got to watch.
Take care.